What's up, y'all? We are back. This is episode 9 of the Milwaukee Brewers Out of the Park Baseball 25 series. We're here at September 3rd, 2027. Milwaukee Brewers are 74-61, 6 games back of the Chicago Cubs for first place in the NL Central Division. And it was an okay month of August, marginally better than July. We went 15-13. It's a decent month. Definitely not the pace we were on in the first half. July kind of killed us, but, not a horrible month by any means. And we're getting some guys back from injury, which is good. But there's still some glaring holes in this team. So quickly jump into the pitching. So George Kirby has not been good this year at all. I thought he'd bounce back, and there's still a chance he does, but it just hasn't been a good season for him. ERA close to 5, an ERA plus of 92 is not good, especially for a guy you expect to be your ace. So we haven't gotten the production out of him we would have expected. But thankfully, Gavin Stone's been able to pick up the slack of the ace role. He's been fantastic all season for us. What a pickup this was. Mackenzie Gore so far, since coming to Milwaukee, has been really, really solid. ERA plus of 118. Definitely not his first half self, but I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting a good number 2 starter, and that's what he's been. Tanner Bybee continues to be a really nice player. 109 ERA plus, just really, really, really solid as a number 4 guy. And then Carlos Rodon did get hurt. He wasn't really pitching well before he did, so Chase Silseth is once again up with the team. After spending most of the year pitching pretty poorly in AAA, and it hasn't been good when he's been up. I moved him to a follower role, 50 pitches. We'll see what we get out of him. Rodon will be back in a few days, so hopefully he can add a little bit of juice. The bullpen's gone through once again a bunch of disappointing performances. So Cade Smith, put him in the closer's role and just immediately starts giving up runs. He was so good before that too. So he hasn't been nearly as good since I moved into the closer's role. I don't know what the deal is. I just cannot find a closer on this team. Abner Uribe has been really good at 2.31 ERA, Spire 2.76. These two have been rock solid all season. Edward Cabrera continues to pitch really well despite some shaky peripherals. Jake Cousins is up with the team after we picked him up in the trade with Arizona. That brought over A.J. Minter. Abreu hasn't been really good. Fortes still in AAA for them. That's disappointing. I would have thought they would have called him up, and he's played really well down there too. Cousins is up with the team. DL Hall hasn't nearly been as good as I thought he'd be out of the bullpen. 6.06 ERA, 120 ERA plus. I'm not sure what to do with him. Minter hasn't been any good. 6.14 ERA. The peripherals look a lot better than that, but the results haven't been there. Hagen Smith is back up. He hasn't pitched too much, only 9 innings this year. Carlos Rodriguez, same story with him. So that's the pitching staff updates. The hitting has been pretty good outside of one glaring hole down here, as you can see. Noelvi Marte has just crashed down to earth this season. It's been really, really tough, and he's lost his starting job at this point. He's put up negative .7 WAR after a really, really solid season last year. Just hasn't been the same player this season. So we're rocking with C.J. Abrams at second, who has fallen off in his own right, but at least he brings speed and defense, neither of which Marte brings. And Daniel Guarte is out there. He's been starting for the past few weeks. He's been pretty good. League average hitter. Good defense over at third, at least theoretically. I don't know how he's actually been. He's been fine over at third. But the big story of the second half has been Brock Wilken, man. He's had such a great season. His August was insane, 150 WRC plus. His whole year has been insane, but it just felt like he put the team on his back this last month, up to 32 home runs on the year, which has blown away his career high. Really his first full season as our starter, and he's checked all the boxes as a stud first baseman. Juan Soto continues to be awesome. Since moving him to DH, that's just where he belongs, I think. On pace for almost 6 WAR as a primary DH this year. That's awesome. He's been so good. Jackson Churrio's been excellent, on pace for almost 7 WAR in just 121 projected games. He's been awesome. His range also ticked up to a 70. I didn't even realize that. So he might be a center fielder moving forward. We're still running with Garrett Mitchell. He's been really nice defensively out there. So no need to shake that up. He's on pace for 2.5 WAR himself in only 109 games. And then Andy Pages, man, what a pickup this has been. 150 WRC plus, on pace for 4 WAR, despite, suspect defense out and right. He hasn't been as bad as Soto, but definitely not a good defender. But his offense has just been carrying. These 4 guys have been excellent all season. Garrett Mitchell as well has been great. Jefferson Kiro has had his breakout season finally. On pace for 4 WAR. He's already put up 3.5 in 106 games. Really, really good stuff out of the young catcher. Talked about Guarte. Carlos Correa, he's been about a league average hitter, but he plays really nice defense over at short. Actually, excellent defense this year. So I'm not going to complain about a league average bat out of him. Although I'd like a little bit more, but whatever. And Abrams, is a guy we kind of picked up thinking he'd be a utility guy. He's had a really nice season here in year 2, or I guess year 1.5 in Milwaukee. So we picked him up kind of off the scrap heap last year for Tim Anderson and Nick Robertson, who hasn't been good this year and had a good half season for St. Louis last year. But yeah, Abrams has been a player we very much needed. Yelich has been a part-time player this year. He's nothing really to write home about anymore. He's unhappy that he's not starting. I get it, but, dude, you haven't exactly lit the world on fire the last 2 years. Matthew Wood's been just a fine backup catcher. No complaints there. Trent Grisham's still getting some playing time out in center field. He's a good defender. Marte, we talked about him just falling off a cliff. Not sure what happened. And then Isaac Pacheco, called him up when rosters expanded. I do want to set some new lineups, so I want to get Pacheco out there a little bit more at third. Maybe have him as our strong side platoon guy. Guarte can still back up. And I might just take Marte completely out of the lineup. He's just not been good. So I think I'm going to rock with Abrams and Pacheco as our right-handed side against righties. And then against lefties, I'm not even gonna waste my time with Marte anymore. We're gonna run with Eduardo Garcia and Daniel Guarte at second base. So that's kind of what the team's gonna look like. We'll still use Marte as a backup, but I want to see what these two guys have. That's the offense. And, we're in good position to make the playoffs for sure. We're a game up on the Nationals, 2.5 games up on the Cardinals, so we still need to finish this year strong. We're definitely not guaranteed a playoff spot like we were last year when we were in this spot. But, yeah, Rodon will be back in a day, so let's see what's going on with him. A 9-0 win. And I do need to get Eli Morgan on this team. I like Eli. But can he really, I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know if I'm going to add him or just waive him. So we need a spot on our active roster. We're going to send down Chase Silseth and add Rodon back. He had a minor injury. I just kind of put him on the IL because, he was pitching okay, but not good. So let's limit his pitches to like 80 because we have a deep bullpen now. Let's do 80. We'll let the rest of these guys kind of rock with the innings, and then we don't really need an opener anymore. And yeah, we'll see how things go here. So we'll sim a few weeks, see where we're standing, and if anything crazy happens, we'll cut back in. But we're here in September, looking to make a playoff push. We'll see you in a second. Okay, so we're here September 29th, and things have started to get interesting here in the NL Central. The Cubs have kind of collapsed simultaneously as we've been playing pretty well. It hasn't been a great month by any means. 14-10, solid, but not great. But the Cubs it seems like they've just collapsed. I haven't been following too closely what they've been doing day to day, but a subpar September, we have a shot here, I think. So we're 2.5 games back. They've clinched a playoff spot. We're right on their heels. We while we're pushing for the division, we still have to hold off like the Nationals, Cardinals, Braves, Marlins. I think we're in good shape for a playoff spot, but we still have to make the playoffs. We're 3.5 games up with 5 to go. So things won't be easy. And we're going to skip Rodon's start. He was actually pretty damn good last start. And he hasn't been horrible as a Brewer, but we're going to skip his start, go to Kirby in a big 2-game set against Detroit here. So Gavin Stone's good to go in game 2. So we have our 2 frontline guys, even though Kirby hasn't really pitched like one, going in this set. And Roderick Arias has gotten called up. We did have a huge injury to Jackson Churio. Chronic back soreness. Doesn't sound good. He's going to be out for 3 weeks, so he'll miss the start of the playoffs. Really, really unfortunate timing on that. Abner Uribe also went down with a strained forearm right when he moved him into the closer's role, so we can never have good things. It was a day-to-day injury, but moderate effect on throwing. He's going to the IL every time. And that's without already Alex Vesia. And yeah, the bullpen's in tough shape right now. We did finally call up Luke Holman, one of our top prospects, number 59 in baseball, first-round pick, 17th overall in the first draft. After a really, really excellent season in AAA, he just deserved a shot here, and without some other options, he's as good he gives us as good a chance as anyone on this team. So I'm kind of like leaning toward not even giving anyone the closer job. Let's just see what our manager does, and we'll see. So. And offensively, we've kind of been about the same as we've been, nothing really to report. Without Churio, we're kind of hurting. Garrett Mitchell's fallen off a bit, but he hasn't been bad. Johan Rojas is up with the team. He'll be starting in center field against lefties. It's not great. You can see we have Arias starting at third. And then Pacheco, we're playing him out in left. He has pretty good ratings out there. He's not bad. Definitely better than Soto. So we're going to start him in left. And then against lefties, we'll have Soto in left. We're going to have Eduardo Garcia, the rookie, starting at DH with Arias, Guarte, and the rest of those guys. So the lineup against lefties is admittedly really weak. But our lineup against righties isn't horrible. So let's go George Kirby, Tariq Skubal. And we win 5-3, a big game. Eduardo Garcia, welcome to the show, dude. 2 hits, a triple, a double, and 3 RBIs. Putting the team on his back, really. And George Kirby, a quality enough start. I wound up closing DL Hall. He pitches well, and he's been a lot better. After that rough start coming to the bullpen. And Gabe Spire, also just a sensational season here. Probably been our best reliever, most consistent reliever. So another tough matchup with Ty Madden against Gavin Stone. Gavin Stone, I don't know if he's pushing for Cy Young, but definitely could put himself in the race here with a great start here. Let's do it. We're going to pick up the 2-game sweep, and we lose 5-0. We have a little update here with some scouting, so we'll go through that really quick. Juan Baez is a guy I'm really intrigued by. He's flown through the minors last few years after a tough start. He's all the way up to AAA after starting the year in High A. Hasn't been any good up there, but he gets a little boost to his power and gap. Cash Mayfield, a guy who's kind of fallen off at this point. I had some hopes for him in that Boston trade when we got him and Quintero. Bryce Terang still with Boston, barely played this year. Reed Garrett now with Philadelphia. So that trade could still work out if Quintero becomes a major league player. Anthony Flores, he doesn't look horrible. Macon Winslow, this guy's interesting, a 6th round pick. He was pretty well developed. He looked more like this when I drafted him, I think. He was a draft pick last year. He's gotten all the way up to AA after a great season between A and High A. So he's a guy to look out for. Xavier Warren's kind of just worked his way out of my plans. Not like I ever had big aspirations for him, but just hasn't hit in any capacity in the majors in 100 at-bats. Ryan McPherson, a guy I like enough. He got a little boost after a nice year in A-ball. Chris Jordan, another player there. Stephen Gallman, he was a 7th-round pick this year. Gets a little boost. He had a nice little season in A-ball to start his career. Slade Caldwell, remember this guy? You took him in the 2nd round back in 2024, and he just hasn't been able to do anything with the bat in the in the minor leagues. Like, he's been awful. Like this dude should be out of the league awful. So we'll keep riding with him, but time's ticking on his development at age 21. Ramiro Verduri, there we go. He was a 1st-round pick, 30th overall this year. I was concerned about the intelligence, but he gets a little boost. He pitched excellent in rookie ball. He probably shouldn't have been in rookie ball. He signed late. But, yeah, he'll start the year in A and can very quickly move through the minor leagues next season. Don't hate starting him in rookie ball. Just get him some experience. Danny Sargent, 3rd-round pick this year, gets a little development boost. Stuff increases, movement increases. Who knows? Maybe he could work out as a high school guy. I really like his tools. Juan Rivas, a pitcher I like. He was a scout and discovery back in 25. Jackson Peavy, he was a pretty early round pick, 4th round, 2nd year in rookie ball. Luis Trujillo. Jorge Flores was an international guy we signed in 2027. He's still chilling in the complex, but he'll be ready for the Dominican League next season. And this guy got a little boost, so that's cool. Okay, so we take 1 out of 2 against Detroit. We're 3 games back at Chicago. Not looking great. We have to win out to win the division. We have clinched a playoff spot. We're 2 games up on the Braves. So let's just try to win this series. So Mackenzie Gore will go in game 1. And then we'll see what happens after that and who we want to pitch. So we lose. McGore gave 5 runs. Wasn't necessarily bad, but wasn't great either. Offense, not much going. So we're up 2 games. We have Tanner Bybee on the mound, who's had a rough second half. He had this just miserable game here, which really killed his stats for the season. But, yeah, he's still been okay. So we'll pitch Bybee here just because he probably won't get a start anyway in the wild card round. We wind up winning 6-5. We clinched the first wild card. So Pages gets 2 hits. Garrett Mitchell drove in a few runs. Good day for the offense overall. And Bybee had a solid enough start despite walking 7, which is so uncharacteristic of him. Really interesting. Cade Smith continues to struggle, man. He got off to a really nice start, but he's not been good. Brian Wu gives up another run. He hasn't been great either. So we'll pitch Rodon in the start. I don't even know if he'll make the playoff roster. But we clinched the division already, or we clinched the first wild card. So we'll face the Mets or the Braves, depending on who wins or who gets that second wild card. So we would lose. No big deal. Looks like Kyle Tucker won the AL batting crown and Ronald Acuna in the NL. 329 average. What a stud. So we'll just check the box score on that one. A couple hits for Guarte. That's good to see. Brad Wilkin finished the season strong with 2 hits. Juan Soto finished hitting 254, which is pretty shocking. He was hovering around like 280 all year, and looks like the batting average just really fell off a cliff, but still hit 40 home runs, 144 WRC plus. Not going to be upset about this. Looks like his strikeout rate went up too. He was around 14% for most of the year, but still a good year from him as our DH. Correa didn't finish strong though. And it looks like Luke Holman struggled in his first real game. Rodon wasn't good either, so he'll probably be left off the playoff roster, especially for the wild card series. So With that being said, we will be facing Atlanta. And we have a lot of decisions to make with this roster, so we'll come back when we have the roster set up and we're ready to go. Okay, so we are back. Time for the playoffs, and we are carrying 12 pitchers, 14 hitters. So the rotation will go Mackenzie Gore in Game 1. This was a tough decision, but I think Gore gives us the best chance to win in Game 1. His peripherals look the best on the year, even if his stats on the year aren't as good as Gavin Stone. Stone will still go in Game 2, and I love him in that role. And then George Kirby's going to pitch Game 3. He just was not good this year. So his resume kind of keeps him solidly as our third starter. Not like we were going to pitch Tanner Bybee here, but his resume keeps him there. So in a do or die game, I love George Kirby, but he's not going to pitch one of the first two, so the way he pitched this year. And then the bullpen's just going to be, cross your fingers and hope for the best between all of these guys. And we'll see what happens. Gabe Kapler's going to earn his pay after we just gave him an extension. And hitting wise, the only interesting thing I guess is we're going to start Christian Yelich in left field. It's a little bit about him. Just gives good vibes here going into the playoffs. He had a league average season and 261 plate appearances this year. The power is kind of gone, but he was actually not bad as a backup this season. So he'll bat sixth. You can see the rest of the lineup here. Nothing too surprising. We are batting Mitchell and Soto back to back. So a lot of lefties at the top. We will be facing two righties and then the lefties. So our lineup against lefties will be, if we go to a game 3, which will put Rojas in left, Arias at third. It's not pretty if we get to Game 3 with this lineup. But we'll just hope for the best, and hopefully we don't get to that point. Let's win this series. So trying to escape the wild card round would this be the first time we got out of the first round in our third season? I believe it would be. So we're going to conquer our demons here against Hurston Waldrop, Bryce Elder, and Max Fried. So the Braves, of course, got the second wild card this year. 8th in runs scored, 11th in runs against, although their lineup is pretty top-heavy. You got Michael Harris here, who's a total stud. And then Ronald Acuna, who's likely going to win the NL MVP. You got those two, and then Matt Olson as well. A really nice season. Austin Riley coming off of a tough year, though. Jose Barrero, a guy we traded them. He was actually pretty good, though. So, then Will Smith, he's still a good catcher. But, Endy Rodriguez, Tanner Schobel, Joe Adell, those guys don't scare me too much, but the middle of their lineup is pretty good. And Max Fried at the top of their rotation. He's a good pitcher. Hurston Waldrop, also a pretty good arm, but a 3-pitch guy. I've well documented on how I feel about them. And then Bryce Elder, he's their 3 starter with a 5.5 ERA. So he'll start Game 2 since they used Fried in the last game of the season. Their bullpen also 15th in ERA, so one of the worst in baseball. If not the worst in the National League, at least. So let's do it. Hurston Waldrop against Mackenzie Gore, Game 1 of the NL wildcard round. Let's do it. We lose 6-4. My God. So Jefferson Kiro, pretty much our only offense. Pa has had an RBI as well. Mackenzie Gore, not good in this one. DL Hall, ate some innings in the bullpen. Edward Cabrera came in too, but here we go. Backs against the wall already here in Game 2. Bryce Elder against, oh my God, Kevin Stone in Game 2. We win 5-4, just escape. By the way, Churio will be back in 1 to 2 weeks, so he's out for the series. I didn't mention that. So we pull off the win 5-4. We score a run in the bottom of the 8th. And, wow, Carlos Rodriguez is the guy they call on in the 9th. Walks 2 and gives up a hit, but somehow walks the tightrope and gets out of it. We're able to pick up the win. A.J. Minter against his former team, 3 innings, 1 run. Really good performance out of him. Gavin Stone wasn't horrible either. So Andy Pages drove in 2. Guarte and Arias drove in another run. 2 walks on the day for him, coming in as a substitute after Guarte got hurt. So here we go. Down to the elimination game. Max Fried, George Kirby, coming off a rough year. Can he redeem himself? And can our run up against lefties hold their own? A lot of questions here in Game 3. A lot more than you'd like to have, but ace against ace. Kirby, Fried, Game 3. And a 1-0 loss. 1 run in the 4th inning is all that happens offensively. Oh, we get 6 hits, no runs. Guarte and Rojas, a pair of hits each. The only others coming from Yelich as a pinch hitter and Kiro. And George Kirby gave us what we needed. 5 2/3, 1 run. Cade Smith good out of the pen. Inspire as well. But their combination of Fried and their bullpen, that was the worst in the National League this year, shuts us down. And what a way to go out, man. That sucks. And we cannot seem to get out of that round or do anything here in the postseason. I don't know what else we have to do, quite frankly. I think this team, second in runs scored, 6th in runs against. The pitching wasn't necessarily an issue in the playoffs. So it's not the bullpen was actually quite good. I don't know. I don't know what else there is to do, man. We've pushed all in for a couple seasons now, and it just has not worked out. So, we'll come back next year, hope to conquer our demons and get out of that wild card round for the first time in this series. But year 4 ends in disappointment. But thank you very much for watching this one. I don't know how long this video has been. It has been only 7 minutes. Okay. So we're going to go through the offseason this episode, actually. So stay tuned for the second half. We'll be right back. All right, so we're back here in the offseason. November 27th, 2027. The Mariners wound up winning the World Series last year. Pretty cool story. They've never won one in their history and notoriously have, not made the playoffs at all. So really cool to see them. We'll go through awards here. I actually haven't looked at these yet. Check out the AL Gold Gloves there. NL Gold Gloves. Jackson Chourio out in left field wins one. What a season he had, man. So unfortunate we lost him for the playoffs because he was a huge piece to our success. And, maybe that's the reason we did lose. I don't know. And this guy, Rodolfo Sotelo, if you remember, he signed a big contract as an international free agent. He had a 6-season, led the league in WAR. And I haven't gotten the MVP. I wonder if he wound up winning it over Acuna. Got some other little things going on. Oh, also we have one trade to announce. It's a smaller one, but significant nonetheless. So NL reliever of the year, we have Camilo Doval. And NL, Brock Selvage. But I'm getting a call. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So we're back. NL reliever of the year, Brock Selvage. Really interesting that he winds up winning. 9 starts was excellent. I wonder if they're interested in trading him. I mean, they really didn't use him in their rotation. He just won reliever of the year, so that'd be a tough sell. But, a guy I'm looking to DL Hall. Now that we get a little closer, so maybe that's something we look at. But nothing imminent or anything. Then we have Silver Sluggers. Colt Keith, interesting. He had a great year. He won Gold Glove and Silver Slugger over at first base. Xavier Isaac is an interesting name. Man, what a slugger he is. Holy crap. 70 power. And he really hasn't even tapped into it. He's had 36 home runs, but, that's 40-plus home run power. Really interesting. So, good for him. NL Silver Sluggers, Jackson Chourio in left field wins. He had a fantastic season, of course, so well documented. And then Juan Soto at DH finally wins one. I don't think he's he hasn't won one with us yet. Only in 2023. So in the save, he is yet to win a Silver Slugger despite being a stud in the outfield. he's had other guys in right field kind of competing against him. Rookie of the year, we have this guy Jace Levet. Wow, I mean, really nice season for him. 1.1 WAR though. Tough year for the AL rookies, man. Nothing too really impressive. This guy was probably the best guy. This international dude is really good too. At least 8 innings. He wasn't particularly good in them. Then the NL Rookie of the Year, I mean, obviously. And Jack Caglione got some votes. Okay. Very cool. He's been a two-way guy for them. And been damn good on both sides of the ball. That's sweet, man. You don't see many of these come around. But Caglione's made it work. I wonder if he'll make it work in real life, but yeah, great season pitching, pretty good hitting, 24 bombs. I mean, that's a legit two-way season. Not Shohei, of course, but like you can get a league average hitter and a really, really good starter. That's a big win. So really, really cool story there. Cam Canarella looks like a total stud, former 4th overall pick. Went straight from high A to the majors and had a nice season. Scott Servais wins Manager of the Year in the AL as the Mariners win the World Series. They wound up finishing 96-66. Not really sure where their offense came from. They were 5th in runs scored, but like Cole Young's a good player. And obviously you have Julio Rodriguez here, but he was below league average. Austin Wells was bad. Harry Ford's a really nice player. Wow. God, he looks good. They locked him up, man. Holy crap. That's a lot of money. Torn rotator cuff for Luis Castillo after a nice year. That's tough. Who knows if he'll come back the same. Logan Gilbert had a crazy good season. Second in runs against, so their rotation was great. Despite, some suspect play at the bottom, Brandon Woodruff winds up tearing his flexor tendon. 8 starts in. Yeah, they gave him a nice little extension, but that hasn't worked out quite yet. Joey Weimer playing for this team, former Milwaukee Brewer. Didn't do too much, though. And Tyler Black, not a bad year. 2.3 WAR, playing left field for them. He's turned into a good player for them. And they locked him up in extension, too. Really affordable, though. 8 years, $92 million. It's a great deal for a player like that. And then the Diamondbacks. They finished 87-75. Looks like they probably made the World Series if he won Manager of the Year. They have a great team always, just because they have such a good farm system. Jordan Lawler, Corbin Carroll's still a total stud. Yandy Diaz, Tommy Troy's a good player. Gabby Moreno's still killing it at catcher. Ketel Marte batting 7th. I mean, that's an embarrassment of riches. And then Drew Jones now he's playing center, but he was playing right field, or left field, right field for most of the year. Just when I was checking in. And Matt Chapman batting in the 9-hole. Holy crap. I mean, first in runs scored with good reason and first in runs against. Finished 87-75. Is clearly the best team in the league. I didn't even check how the playoffs went. So yeah, it was the Diamondbacks versus the Mariners. 7-game series. Interesting that they were so bad relative to their projections. Yeah, plus 132 run differential. Underperformed by 6 runs. I would have expected to be more. Yeah, really interesting. But Torey Lovullo wins Manager of the Year in the NL. We have Cy Young, Corbin Burns in the AL. He continues to be great in the save. Logan Gilbert second. Tariq Skubal, guy we considered trading for at the deadline. He finishes 3rd. Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles. Nestor Cortez for the Rangers. Really good season for him. So they got him on a pretty nice contract. Good for them. Cheap 3-year deal. Paying dividends early. They have Justin Steele in the NL just edging out Gavin Stone. I think Steele probably deserved it, so, it's good that he won, but, man, Stone was so good this year. Max Fried finishes third. Cade Cavalli finishes fourth for Arizona. One of the big reasons that their pitching was so good this year. Pablo Lopez stole a first-place vote somehow. You got to think, if that went to Gavin Stone, I don't know if he wins. I don't know what exactly the votes go toward, but Pablo Lopez stealing a first-place vote is crazy. But he had a great season in his own right. Jacob Junis, former Milwaukee Brewer, journeyman at this point, but he got a nice little contract in his age 34 season, age 34, 35 season, $12 million over 4 years. Working out really well for them early. Yuri Perez steals a couple of votes. Victor Santos, good season for him. And then Yamamoto finished a little bit farther down the ballot. And the NL, in the AL side, AL MVP, Jackson Holliday wins it. That will be his first award, I believe. Yep. Great season for him. Kyle Tucker finishes in a close second. Won the batting title, 332 average. Swept the Triple Crown of the slash line. But just finishes short. Wyatt Langford steals a first place vote. He was fantastic. And then a bunch of other guys down here, obviously. Too many to mention. And then the NL, Ronald Acuna nearly sweeps the voting this year. 29 out of 30 first place votes. Great season for him. No complaints there. And then the rookie Sotelo finishes second. In a pretty clear second. The Francisco Alvarez also for the Mets. Good to see he's working out for them in the save. A little bit better than in real life. And then Jackson Chourio finishes fourth despite playing just 119 games. Full season, man. He would have pushed Acuna and maybe won it. Then Christian Encarnacion Strand, a guy we almost could have traded for. Maybe I should have just done that, but Andy Pajes finishes a little bit farther down the ballot. Great season for him. Juan Soto, a couple places behind him. Brock Wilken gets some votes. And Gavin Stone got a couple of votes as well. So really cool. And then we do have a trade to announce. Happened early in the offseason. Where the heck was this? I thought it was like the first day of the offseason. Oh, yeah, it's right here. So it was C.J. Abrams. So he was projected to make $5.5 million in arbitration. That number was a little bit high for a backup infielder, even though he had a nice year. Just thought we can get better value with the guys that we have. So we wound up flipping him for this guy, Fran Orschel, who was listed as a starter. So as a starter, he looked good. This is a pretty good starter, but when I see stuff high and these pitches high and the control low, my mind immediately goes to bullpen, obviously. And as a reliever, he looks like he could be a really good pitcher. 25 years old, he'll compete for a bullpen spot this year. And then we are going to non-tender a few guys. So it'll be Chase Silseth, who just didn't work out, unfortunately, for us. We didn't give up a ton to get him. Tayden Hall, Carlos Rodriguez, and Gregory Barrios. Barrios the only guy still with the system, as far as I can tell. I guess Tayden Hall is as well. But yeah, we didn't give up a ton to get him. Just didn't work out at all. Besides that first half season, the last 2 years he's been awful. So we're going to non-tender him. He was projected to make over $2 million. 2.6, just a little bit much. Especially because we have some guys coming up I like. Jake Cousins projected to make 1.2. He pitched a third of an inning this year and was not good. Josiah Gray projected to make $2.4 million. Just not a ton of value in that. And then Cole Reagans just hasn't been able to stay healthy. When he's been out there, he hasn't been good. So just 9 games over 2 seasons for him. We'll let Grisham, Spire, and Vesia hit free agency. I would like to bring back Spire because he was really good. But he does want a decent chunk of change, $11 million for 3 years. That's a lot of money. And then Mackenzie Gore and AJ Minter will hit free agency as well. Gore wants a huge deal. Won't be able to afford him. We kind of knew that going in. And then AJ Minter wants a huge deal as well, coming off a awful season for us and Arizona. So we'll head forward in the offseason, head to where free agents file. And we'll go through international stuff really quick. And we'll check out the international free agents here. Jesus Reynoso. Nice player, pretty affordable. We don't really need a first baseman or DH right now, though. This guy I'm a lot more interested in. Sergio Pineda. Cheap deal. Good work ethic, only 26. Can play some second base. I mean, this is the type of guy we should be going for. So we'll give him a minor league deal, $3 million if he makes the roster. Okay, 3.2. Okay, he wants the 3.4. We'll just give it to him. Who knows? Maybe he works out. This guy already signed. Would have been a great pickup though. Molina looks like a nice player. Only $2.2 million he wants. He's a lefty. We have a lot of lefties. I don't even know if he has a spot if he makes the team. This guy just wants a minor league deal. I like him enough. I'll give him that. Okay, so we'll head to free agency here. The big fish that I want is either Juan Caro or this guy Piscata. David Ramos is a really nice catcher. You know, I love my catchers, but the void case concerns me, of course. Domingo Riscalba, big power upside. That's just the hitters. There was a couple of good pitchers that I was scouting. We had this guy, Jorge Espinoa, only because I think he was a little bit cheaper. No, he wasn't. I'm not sure why I was scouting him then. This is the guy that I really like, Julian Ramirez, and might be the guy I actually wound up going with. I just love when these young guys are well-developed. Like, he's already got a really good floor at age 16, great build. I could definitely see this dude working out. But, you know, we'll see. We're going to keep scouting, of course, and see where we wind up with those guys. But free agency, so we have $21 million to spend. Good money going out to the future. So I think we're going to be out on these top guys almost certainly, especially in the case of like Gore, Steele, Burns. But like the second tier dudes, it's McClanahan looking for a big deal. He was really good for Houston. William Contreras, can bring him back after barely playing last year for the Dodgers. He wants a pretty cheap deal. We just don't really need him. Alexis Diaz would be a great get. Man, maybe it's like bullpen only. Like, that's been our biggest flaw every season, it seems. Jung-Hoo Lee would be a great guy to bring in, too. So, our big, I'm just looking at this. This is like a rough, obviously, estimate on where we faltered last year. It was bullpen, obviously. 9th in ERA. Not bad, but not good. Stolen bases, we definitely improved this year. Defense was all good. Pitching was overall good, minus the bullpen, and the offense was good. I already have kind of the rotation set up, so it's going to be Kirby, Stone, Bybee, locked into those top 3 spots. And then, it'll be Luke Holman. I want to give him a shot, former 17th overall pick. DL Hall, who I looked for trades, just not a ton of interested parties at this point. And Hagen Smith, who I'm sending to the lab, which we can also go over. And then Carlos Rodon, still on this team. We'll see if he survives the offseason. But the bullpen's just really thin right now. So that's, just looking at it, that's kind of the areas of need. It's going to be bullpen. Daniel Cabral, now number 2 prospect in baseball. That guy who got drafted first overall, just jumped him because he's so good and really well developed. Liam Peterson, our number 2 guy. He's come along really well, minus the control. He's number 33 in baseball. Juan Magalhães, second-round pick last year, is coming along really nicely. Pitched a couple games in high A last year and fared pretty well, metrics-wise. Just a small sample size, though. Ramiro Viduri, our first round pick last year, also, coming in the top 100. The issue with both these guys is the stamina. Like, are they able to go deep into games? I believe they both can, and they're both ranked pretty much identically, which is what I expected. And it was a blessing that Mengelis fell to the second round. Juan Gallardo cracks the top 100, number 55, and Danny Sargent, third round pick last year, number 78 in baseball. Luis Lara, who got a very brief cup of coffee before he got hurt last year. He's just outside the top 100 at 115. Tommy Vargas, sixth round pick last year, looking really, really good as a 19-year-old. He's 118. Luke Holman right behind him is at number 119. Josh Knoth. This guy's interesting. So he was in our system when we started this. Struggled at the beginning to get going the first two seasons, but really turned it on last year. Made it all the way up to AAA. Has some really good ratings. I wouldn't be surprised if he competes for a rotation spot and maybe wins one next year. And then the last guy in the top 200, Sam Zahar, fourth round pick last year. And then Juan Baez, we talked about him a little bit. David Aguilar, our first round supplemental pick last year. He's outside the top 200. I still really like him, though. Jaden Melendez, we discussed him at length. Just doesn't really have a spot to play, a path to playing time. Eric Becker, second round pick in 2026. He made it to high A last year. Maverick Rizzi, this is a guy who was a fourth round pick. Probably just a reliever, but maybe he becomes a starter. Who knows? Eduardo Quintero, still have faith in him. He finally hit last year in high A and then hit pretty well in double A too. And he's still young, only 22 years old. Yofreni Rodriguez, who feels like he's been in the system, hasn't really moved at all, but finally hit well enough in high A. I promoted him to double A. Rocky McKendry, he was an 11th round pick last year. Cracks our top 20 prospects. And Patrick Aquino, who unfortunately went down with a torn UCL last year after making his MLB debut finally. He is our last guy in the top 20 or so, whatever that comes out to. So I actually have an out right now. I have to go enjoy my Friday night, so we'll come back. I'll be back tomorrow. There'll be no cut in this video, obviously, but we'll come back and go through where we are in free agency. Okay, so we have another trade to announce here. So this happened a couple days. Actually, this happened the same day. So we traded Carlos Rodon. God, I didn't realize I gave him back to the Yankees. That feels a little cheesy, but sent him back to the Yankees. And we got Sean Roby in return. Kind of just a salary dump. They wound up, what was it? Yeah, they 35% of the deal. So we saved a little bit of money. Sean Roby, actually an interesting enough player. Yeah, I didn't realize we gave him back to the Yankees. I wouldn't have done that if I knew that was the case. But yeah, he just didn't really have a spot on this team. Kind of laying things out for the offseason. So we made one offer that hopefully can shore up one of our, actually two offers, sorry, that could shore up our bullpen. So Alexis Diaz, guy I said I wanted, really this home run allowed is like the thing that I'm looking at the most because our relievers seem to have a tough time giving up the home run ball. And he's been really good at that throughout his career. Minus this 1 year in Texas, which or half season in Texas, which was awful. But yeah, we're giving Diaz a 1 year, $12 million deal. Really affordable for a guy of his caliber. And then AJ Puck, a starter in theory. I'm not going to use him as a starter. First of all, because he's fragile, and second off, he hasn't been very good as a starter. He's been okay, but I think as a reliever, he can play up and be a total stud and kind of be like DL Hall, like essentially the same player. Hall does have 4 pitches instead of 3, which helps him, but I think Hall can still compete for a rotation spot. We'll see if he's just an every other year guy and if next year is a good one, but yeah, he's too volatile at this point to trust for a rotation spot, which is why we're going to bring in some other options as well at some point. But we also have like guys coming through the system. Like these guys are really close. Also Josh Knoth, another guy that I like. So I don't think we're completely like we need a starter because if we could just make it through this year with the guys that we have, I think next year is going to look really, really good. And once we start getting some of these guys to the majors, so yeah, that was just a minor deal for in the Carlos Rodon trade, and then those two offers that we have out, and I didn't go for the lab. That was the thing that was on my mind. So you can see we're already a couple of weeks in. So Jackson Chourio, strength and conditioning, try to improve his durability, since that's kind of been an issue for him throughout his start to his career. Andy Pajes, who kind of solidified himself as a long-term piece for us, trying to work on his two-strike approach. Really, the only downside on him is the his strikeout rate's a little high. Even 25.5% is not crazy. So just trying to work on that. He's frustrated. Roderick Arias, a guy who I think can be a really, really nice third baseman in the future if he develops. The only thing is his strikeouts are a little bit high. He struck out 52% of the time in 23 plate appearances. In his other cup of coffee in the majors, which is 200 plate appearances, struck out almost 40%. The majors, he's been over 35 pretty consistently. So, that's a huge hole in his game that we're going to look to try to improve. Luke Holman, trying to improve his control. I think we did that last year as well, but he's frustrated at this point. Hagen Smith, trying to improve his movement. He looks really damn good. Even if his overall potential is only 45, I think he could definitely be a nice starter. The only downside with him is he's a side armor, which will give him crazy splits. Much better against lefties. Although this isn't as drastic as I've seen from these sidearm types. But yeah, Hagen Smith sending him to increase his movement. Hopefully that gives him a little bit more balance in his platoon splits. And then these two kind of lumped together, Mangales and Viduri, sending them both to endurance training. 45 stamina is playable, but if they get up to 50, feel a lot better about that. And that goes for both those guys. They're basically the same pitcher in most regards. So, yeah, Mangales has a little bit more stuff, a little less control movement. Viduri, a little less stuff, more control movement. But overall, both really good prospects. And then Liam Peterson, our number one pitching prospect, trying to improve his control. He's on track. And Smith is also on track. Those are only two guys. We screwed up last year, dropped his control from a 50 to a 45 potential. But, man, if he gets that back up to a 50, I'm so excited for this guy. Former 11th overall pick, and, might be the highest draft pick we ever have in the save. So it's really important that he works out. So that's that. If we add a couple more arms to this bullpen, I think it actually looks pretty good. Edward Cabrera, I still have my doubts about him, but I think he could still be a good middle innings reliever. Abner Uribe established himself as a legit dude last year, which is really big because he'd been up and down for a lot of his career so far in the majors. It was kind of a mixed bag in a lot of ways. But last year was his true breakout, which was awesome to see. Then Cade Smith, I think he'll bounce back, even though he had a really rough half season for us. I don't really think that's going to repeat itself, just based on his track record and how good he's been throughout his career. And Carlos Rodriguez, kind of another guy, just a dart to throw. I think he's pretty good, although he hasn't really proved much in limited innings. But he's out of options. He has one more option year, okay. So he can be moved up and down. And then Brian Wu, who was really, really up and down last year, had his moments, but overall it was a mixed bag for sure. And then lineup-wise, I don't really think we're going to touch this. Kind of seeing how we're laid out with this 40-man roster, this is a good mix of guys. So the thing I really like is we have a good mix of lefties and righties to fill these two spots that are, black holes. So, Noelvi Marte was supposed to be that guy last year, and we didn't think this would be an issue, but he was so bad that it forced our hand to, bring in these other guys and throw some darts in that regard. So, Marte will get a bulk of the action, I assume. But if he struggles, like we have Roderick Arias, who I think could play some second base, third base, shortstop, much more glove first than bat at this point. He's not even really well developed. Like I wouldn't have him in the majors if he wasn't on the 40 man. But yeah, he's up here. Daniel Guarte showed a lot last year in limited time. That I really like where his future is as a nice backup super utility guy in the infield. Playing a bunch around different positions. And then we got Isaac Pacheco, who wasn't very good in limited time last year. He had 110 plate appearances. That's significant. Didn't do much, but I don't know. I still have faith that he'd be okay. He's a decent enough defender. He's a captain, good leader. So a guy that I like, and especially against righties. He doesn't have insane platoon splits, but he's much better against righties. And then Eduardo Garcia, who is kind of the last guy on this list that I want to talk about. He's a solid defender, can play every position. Wouldn't really put him at shortstop, but definitely second and third, first. Has that pop that I'm intrigued by, but didn't do anything really in 53 plate appearances last year. But has hit really well in the minor leagues the past few seasons. Or at least he hit well in Double A in 2026 and hit well at Triple A and Double A last year. So yeah, I think he'll play a factor, especially against lefties. So it's going to be interesting to see how we work this out. And then Sean Roby's here as well. He could play some third base, first base as well. Didn't hit too much last year, but he's on the 40 man. We're paying him, so may as well give him a look. Then Christian Yelich, we're finally out of this after this season, this contract. So he's actually willing to consider trades out of his 10-5 rights. That's pretty much every team. Most teams. But yeah, we can we can get out of this for free basically. If he opts out, great. He won't, but if he opts in, we could just decline the team option. And yeah, $0 buyout. So that's off the books after the season, which is really nice. Yelich has been a great player, but he's been a good player in this save. Especially the first couple of years, he was pretty good. The WAR never accumulated because he just doesn't play defense anymore, but everything's been damn consistent. The walk strikeout rates all been right in line every single year. The power kind of scales up depending on the plate appearances. That 2025 is definitely my favorite year out of him. He was hitting really well, and then I think he got hurt at the end of the season. But yeah, we're out of that after the year. Then we could really turn this over to Churio, Pages, Soto, and then Garrett Mitchell, a guy who's a free agent at the end of the year. Not really sure what to do with him. I entertained maybe dealing him, but he's too valuable. That contract's a little rich, but not unattainable for us. We'll see. That's not a decision we need to make right now. And we do have some guys coming up. Luis Lara is a guy I want to give a shot to for sure. He came up and then got hurt immediately. That has kind of been a thing that I've noticed. He gets hurt a little bit. And then Eduardo Quintero, another guy that I like, will be coming up through the outfield. And then our first round pick last year, David Aguilar. He's not too far away. So yeah, those are just a couple names. We got this guy, Hedbert Perez, who's hit well in AAA and AA. So I guess he's a name to look out for. Don't know if he's a player long term, though. And, maybe we're just better off working with a platoon in one of these outfield spots to save a little bit of money. I don't know. Maybe it gives us better production. Yeah, we'll come back with other updates in a sec. All right, so we're back. We have a trade to announce. So we're trading from kind of a deep prospect pool where we have a lot of guys, and we can afford to make a trade like this that might not be consequential. We're giving up a future guy. That would be Daniel Romo. who is an international free agent sign in 2027. We got him for just $400,000. That was a great one. Now we're going to flip him. I really like his upside, but he's 17 years old. We're trying to win now. We have a ton of depth, and he's a first baseman only. So, kind of checks all the boxes of a guy I'm willing to give up in a deal like this. Also going to throw in Evan Blanco, who I really like, and we got him in kind of a nothing trade last year with the Mets, where we gave up Walker Buehler and Ryan McMahon, both guys who were really struggling for us. Buehler went on to have a nice little half season for the Mets, by the way. We also got David Santana in that deal. That's looking like a pretty good trade for a bunch of nothing guys. And, Evan Blanco's a nice player, but he's a three-pitch guy. Isn't really excel at anything. So we're throwing him in. So that the guy that I was looking to get was this guy, Peter Strzelski. And the reason I like him is, the numbers don't really, or I guess his ratings don't really pop out at you, but his numbers throughout his career have been like sensational, like a 71 FIP minus, 141 ERA plus. And you look at his past couple of years, man, like he was pitching in Colorado, like crazy season in Colorado, 157 ERA plus. Even this year, this half season he played, like still a 72 FIP minus. Like he's just been an excellent reliever throughout his career, and those 0.5 home runs per nine were really the reason that I'm attracted to him. I mean, 2.2 home runs per nine in Colorado in 41 innings. The year before, only 0.5 in Colorado. Like, I don't know. I think this guy can be perfect for what the types that we're looking for now, that the home run problem has been so big for us. We're also throwing in Blake Holm, who I like, but he's 29, just has not been able to crack my barely even AAA roster, but will be a nice reliever for them, and he's very controllable. And then Mason Flaherty, once upon a time a future piece for our bullpen, but then unfortunately, a shoulder injury? It was a stretched elbow ligament, and then he suffered a setback. He came back last year and was not the same guy, so kind of throwing him in this deal. And we're also getting Jagger Haynes, who is a lefty, 25 years old, sitting in AAA for them. My type, 4 pitches, really solid all around. And yeah, maybe he cracks the rotation at some point. So we're getting 2, 4, 4. Really the big pieces being Romo and Evan Blanco. But Romo, the biggest piece, 17-year-old who could develop into a really, really good player. But he's years away. We're trying to win now. We need some bullpen help. Okay, so we could add him to the active roster. And yeah, we'll figure out the bullpen. So we took Cade Smith, who used to be on Cleveland, and Peter Strzelski, also from Cleveland. So yeah, we're taking the Cleveland scraps and building up this bullpen. I think that's about it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys on the trade block. Because I was looking through these trades. So Riley Green is a guy I was looking at, but, we don't really need a left-handed outfielder. We have plenty of those. Ryan Helsley costs too much. We don't have a ton of money to work with at the moment. Trevor McGill back on the trade block. So we just dealt him. Jose Barrios is a guy I was really looking at. He's just pretty damn good still at 33 years old. Maybe a bit of a career renaissance here. Although his numbers throughout the save haven't actually been that good. He missed all 2026, it looks like. What was this? Oh my God, he had a partially torn UCL and then a setback. He's going to miss another 11 to 12 months. Holy crap. So he missed a ton of time with that injury. But yeah, we're going to be looking for more bullpen help. We do have 2 offers still out there, so I think that might be enough. And with the guys that we have coming up, that this offseason might already be done with that move. So but we're going to keep moving forward, but we'll come back with whatever else is going on. Okay, so a few updates here. We are here January 18th. International just international free agent signings, the amateurs period just started. We did sign one guy. We'll get to that in a second. The preseason begins today. We did wind up signing AJ Puck, Alexis Diaz. Don't know if I mentioned that in the last update. Those two guys are on the team. Really excited. Combined $17 million for these two guys. I think it's a pretty big steal. So then we went and the Rule 5 draft, we DFA'd Aurel Vera. He went up passing through waivers. This is a guy I thought he could be an okay player. We got him in the Andy Pajes, Gavin Stone trade. Of course, for Jacob Mizorowski, who's now the closer for the Dodgers, so it's a great role for him. Mixed results last year as a starter. And William Contreras, of course. This is looking like a huge winner. I mean, and then Alex Vesia wound up going back to the Dodgers this offseason. It's an interesting story. Yeah, we DFA'd Aurel Vera, took this guy Justin Lower in the Rule 5 drafts. I tend to take older guys just to make things more realistic. Usually my cutoff's 25. This guy will be in 25 in like 3 weeks. He's a captain, high work ethic, only 24. Really like his movement, even if his control and stuff isn't great. I think he'd be a really cool ground ball pitcher for us, kind of like a Tim Hill. The sidearmer, I guess Tim Hill's kind of sidearm submarine, but doesn't throw too hard. But we'll see if he even makes the opening day roster. And then that's about it for that. And then international guys, we've signed a couple of shortstops in the past few years. So, do we really need another shortstop? And those are kind of the guys that I target typically. We have Daniel Cabral down here. He's still looking really good. Had a pretty solid season between 2 rookie ball levels. Then we also have Juan Gallardo, who's a really nice player that we signed in international free agency a couple years back. He's the number 55 prospect in baseball, looking pretty good at age 18. And we also have... we traded him, I think, actually. We had one more guy, but maybe he was dealt. But anyway, I typically like to take shortstops in that period, but we went with a pitcher here. Julian Ramirez was a guy that I mentioned I was really targeting because he has such a high floor as an 18-year-old. High work ethic, this is kind of the total package. A forkball, which is such an interesting pitch. Even if he's fastball, sinker, cutter, that combination concerns me, but the forkball, having that in there, at least he has a put-away pitch. And the upside is huge. The floor is really nice. So I think he can definitely work out. And I'm going to put him right in the Dominican League as a 16-year-old this year. We'll see how he fares. I think he'll be pretty good with his current ratings. So that was the big news. We have a contract for Jarren Duran out there. A minor league deal, guarantees him $3 million if he makes the roster within the first 30 days, or if he at any point in the season, I guess. Great speed, great defense, pretty good bat. Didn't hit well last year for Cleveland, but has a track record of being, slightly below league average hitter, which is valuable enough. Looks like Bryce Wilson got the bag. Holy crap! From the Rays of all teams. Wow. I mean, it's not a bag, but it's a decent amount of money. Mackenzie Gore wound up going to the Cardinals on a pretty big deal. 6 years, 151. They got a good deal for him. That's 26, 25-ish a year. I guess almost exactly 25 a year. Good deal for them, and for Gore. We knew we weren't going to be able to keep him, so that's unfortunate. Shane McClanahan gets the bag as well. Multi-year deal at age 30 after looking like he was going to be out of the league a few years back with us. So that's cool. He goes back to the Astros, who we had a great season with last year. Fun story. The Dodgers got Justin Steele, of course, because they always get everyone. 5 years, about 32-ish a year. Not cheap for a 32-year-old, but one of the best pitchers in baseball. We signed this guy, Sergio Pineda. He was one of the minor league free agent guys that we signed, or the international dudes. He's a captain, good work ethic, decent defense. He'll compete for a starting job this year with our crowded infield, with just so many bodies here. None of which are a sure thing, which makes this kind of interesting and adds a storyline to the offseason. But yeah, I think that's probably the last move. Our 40-man roster is full. We just have no more navigation to make any moves. I pretty much like everyone on this 40-man roster. I think they can all kind of come in and play a role. Patrick Aquino actually can go on the 60-day now. Patricio Aquino. So we do have one more spot, but we'll probably save that for maybe Jarren Duran makes the opening day roster or something. But all right, we're gonna come back in just a bit, probably around opening day, unless something big happens. Okay, so I realized after recording that last clip, my face cam was off. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. You're just gonna see the GoPro thing there for the last clip. But yeah, we have one more trade. We're almost here at opening day. No big injuries or anything to report after completing that. So Jarren Duran, unfortunately, is not going to make the roster. I feel like he's going to opt out. And if he did make the roster, he was going to make $3 million. It's a lot of money. So we're going to ship him away to the Mariners along with Luke Adams, who once upon a time was a prospect I really liked. And, he still has a chance to make it in the majors, but don't really love this profile, quite frankly. He's going to be no more than like a bench guy. And he's already like out of options at this point. Yeah, he has one option year left. So is he really going to be an impact player without any defense? I don't think so. They were also shipping out Humberto Roca, a guy with low work ethic, low intelligence. This was to get the $5 million in return. That's right here. But we're flipping these guys to the Mariners for former 15th overall pick Bryce Rayner, who has not been able to make it above high A so far at 22 years old. I think he's much better than that. Some great defense. Even if he has low work ethic, high intelligence, at the very worst, he's going to be like a nice utility infielder, I think. He'll start the year in Double-A for me, and it could easily be up soon. So we're just kind of getting a bunch of chips here to play these infield positions and going to see what kind of happens with all of this. Also got a couple other guys in return. So David Arstebal, 18-year-old, scouting discovery by them. Pretty good job to get this guy. He's pretty good. I like his upside, even if he doesn't throw hard. We'll see what happens with him. And then also Lupe Espinoza. Really low floor as a 16-year-old. They had him in A-ball, which was just crazy to me. This dude's not going to do anything in A with these current ratings, but has some good defense. He's a leader. Who knows? A couple darts to throw for a guy who wasn't going to make the roster most likely. He's just a little redundant with a lot of the outfielders that we have. Then Luke Adams, who is a nice prospect. And then Roca, kind of same story, but I have my concerns about him. He doesn't have the highest upside to begin with. So yeah, they actually offered me Bryce Rayner for Jarren Duran. So I kind of worked these two in along with these guys. So that's going to be the deal. And we get $5 million, which is big for a team that's kind of strapped for cash. Gives us a lot more opportunity come deadline time. So Bryce Rayner, will start him in Double-A to start the year. This guy can probably go... I think he could pitch an A-ball right now. Let's throw him... He's only 18, though. I think he's good enough to pitch an A. Yeah, I think so. Lupe Espinosa is definitely going to stay in the Dominican League for me. Just no current ratings. So that's that. The opening day roster is pretty much set at this point then. We have one more cut to make, which we're going to go through live, I guess. So the pitching is going to look like this. We have Gavin Stone, George Kirby, Tanner Bybee at the top once again. Then DL Hall, he makes the rotation. A consistent enough spring where I felt comfortable throwing him out there. We'll see if he sticks. He has a short leash, obviously. And then Hagen Smith, he makes the opening day roster. So he was successful in improving his movement this offseason. We'll get to the rest of the results from that. It was super... I mean, it wasn't disappointing because a couple of guys succeeded, but man, we had like 5 or 6 guys with like a week to go, and then a bunch of them got frustrated the last week. It freaking sucked. I was watching it live, and like, Oh, I was so pissed off. But Hagensmith was one of the guys. He actually excelled. Outstanding to increase his movement. So he's looking pretty good. And he'll be our fifth starter coming into the year. So then the bullpen, looking really good this year. Alexis Diaz, our closer. AJ Puck will be our eighth inning. Cade Smith in the seventh. And we have Brian Wu, Edward Cabrera, those guys, and Abner Uribe. Those guys are coming back from last year. And then Peter Strzelski. Peter. Does he have a nickname? No nickname. But Peter will be in here as well. And then Bradley Blaylock makes the opening day roster. He added a splitter this offseason, which I don't think showed up in the scouting report. So we'll probably get that one on opening day. But he added a splitter. Makes him a pretty interesting player. And has some good pitches. Like, I don't see why he hasn't worked out as a starter yet. But he'll start the year in the bullpen. Excited to see if he can put it all together. He's out of options, so this is do or die for him. But had a great spring, so super excited for him. And then the lineups, the 7 spots that we kind of expected to be filled have been filled. These guys were kind of all locked in coming into the year. Luis Lara will make the team, I believe, and then Christian Yelich as well in the outfield. Again, he's on the last year of the deal, his mega contract. So we'll have Lara, and then Yelich will back up. I don't even know if Yelich is good enough defensively to back up the outfield at this point, but we'll leave him in there for now. So, we have these 4 guys. There's 3 spots open on the roster. So, I think against righties, we're going to have Pacheco in there. He had a pretty good spring, 118 WRC+. Noelvin Marte had a great spring, so I think he's safe. It's kind of between Pineda and Arias. So Arias is a better defender, obviously. Pineda probably has a bit more upside with the bat. Or not upside, but just current ability with the bat. And upside with what he can bring us this year. Arias not quite there yet. Arias has options. Pineda can opt out of his deal, which is kind of a big deal, but we have to pay him 3.4 if we put him on the active roster. Arias has one more option year. I'm sure he'll be sent down at some point anyway, so I think that actually might be the deciding factor. Although, if we send down Arias, doesn't really leave us with a backup infielder that can play shortstop. None of these guys really fit to do that, so man, it's tough. I mean, I could also send down Lara, but I want to give him a shot. Just out of curiosity, I don't really want to trade him. It feels a little cheap. But just want to look around, see what's available. This is pretty much the same offers that I got for Jarren Duran, which is funny. A lot of these guys look familiar. I mean, we just get some upside in the low minor leagues. It's not a bad route to go. Evan Blanco, old friend. Dealt him there this offseason. They can get him back. That wouldn't be bad. Seems like fair value. I mean, I like when they open up these lower minors and they, let some of these guys loose. Ooh, okay. This is basically Bryce Rayner, who he just traded for. Okay, so the Astros look like they're really interested. Yeah, I mean, geez. This guy looks nice. So I think the Astros will be the team we look to do a deal with, just to get something for him. This guy's pretty good too. But not much bat. Isaac Morton. He was I think this is the same guy that was really good in one of the saves that I had. Maybe it was last year in the Rockies save. That sounds familiar. That guy doesn't have much defense. Okay, so I think the Astros are the team we look at here. Go up to those offers. So Lazoya looks pretty good. Chico, I like him better. Tapia, I think it's tough to say if I like him the most. Will Gasparano I could live without. He's fine. And then Anthony Gutierrez I really like. So maybe we try to get Tapia and Gutierrez out of them. Where the heck is this guy? My trip was it Tapia? What the heck? Or was it Chaco? Okay, let's go for Chaco and Gutierrez. So Chaco is in Dominican League. See if they do this. They're not completely sold. Okay, we can make this work. Will Banfield is kind of a guy in my 40-man that I'm okay giving up. Joey Bart, I also would be okay giving him up, but he's not on the 40-man. I'd rather clear that spot. There's probably other dudes here we can get rid of, though. Chirinos has actually played pretty well. I like him as minor league catcher depth. Jagger Haynes, we got him in the offseason. I'm not giving him up, though. Gabriel Nard was like a stud last year between two levels. So who knows? Maybe he can develop. Hedbert Perez is a guy I'd give up here, just to give them a little bit more value to make this make sense. And then the other guy that I liked, also in high A, it was Tapia. He was a really good defensive guy, not much of a bat. Yeah, okay, that's going to cost a bit more. So we want to throw in a little bit of cash, make this go through here. Doesn't look like it. That's fine. No worries. So Anthony Gutierrez, pretty nice minor league outfielder there, and Juan Chaco for Sergio Pineda, who, could be something. He's only 26. He's going to be cheap, but he's not going to make the roster here. And Hedbert Perez, who's a long-time kind of career minor league outfielder for us. So that's the trade, and that clears up the roster crunch here. And so we'll go into the year with Marte, Pacheco, and Arias as our kind of infield minus the all-star types. We'll put Yelich here. Okay, so I'm going to go set the rest of the lineups and everything, and we'll come back for opening day. Okay, so we're back. Opening day is upon us. We should probably sim ahead, but we have an actual opening day for us in a few days. You could see 6 out of the 8 failed. It was looking more like half of them at least would succeed going into like the last week or two. But unfortunately, things went south, and their own 2 guys to succeed were Hagen Smith improving his movement, which we talked about, and then Juan Megalanes. Yeah, okay. He allegedly improved his stamina. I'm not really seeing it, but he's still at 45. But maybe he's like, on the edge of 45 and 50 in reality. But anyway, Acuna signed an extension, 6 years. That's cool. That's an affordable deal for an MVP. Anyway, that's that. The lab was pretty disappointing again this year, but at least the 2 guys that did succeed did outstanding jobs. So, that's cool. Julian Ramirez, our international guy, slots in at number 21 in baseball. Cabral falls another spot behind the otherworldly, what the heck's his name? Garth Hinksman. Dude just looks insane. He'll start the year in high A, but yeah, he's the number 1 prospect. Grady Emerson, the number 2 pick in that same draft. No, the year before. He comes in number 2, looking like a really nice player as well. So Cabral, number 3. You check out the rest of the top guys. Juan Caro, who was an international guy this year. A guy considered, but, we just have a lot of shortstops. He slots in as well. The only pitcher on the list is this guy, Luis Blanco. Not a huge fan of the pitch mix or anything, but maybe he'll be all right. So the rest of the guys, we have the number 1 farm system in baseball. We have, 7 guys in the top 100 and 1 guy just outside the top 100. So Corral, we talked about him. Julian Ramirez talked about him as well. Liam Peterson almost improved his control. He was one of the guys that was so close, but still looks really good. Number 35 prospect. Magalhaes is number 37, just behind Peterson. Juan Gallardo, number 59. Viduri, he's number 65, our first-round pick last year. Danny Sargent, a third-round pick last year. He's looking pretty good, but still young. Then Tommy Vargas, really excited for him. He's looking like could be a legit player, just outside the top 100. Luis Lara's in the opening day roster. Luke Holman just missed the cut this year. Those guys outside the top 100, but inside the top 2. Sam Zahar, fourth-round pick last year, inside the top 200. And Bryce Rayner, who we just traded for, number 190 in baseball. Also, does he have any pitching ratings? Yeah. I think I'll just stick him as a starter. I don't really need to see him be a two-way player. And then Josh Noth had a great spring, just missed the opening day cut. Honestly, probably deserved it over DL Hall or maybe even Tanner Bybee, but yeah, he's looking really good. A guy who's going to be up on the Major League roster at some point this year. Jaden Melendez just missed the cut. I just couldn't carry 3 catchers. Matthew Wood's still here. And Eric Becker had a nice spring as well. Eduardo Quintero was up this spring. Didn't do too well. But at least he's coming along a little bit. And Omari Shabazz, 12th round pick last year. Guy doesn't throw hard, but has the tools to be a good reliever potentially. Anyway, let's go up to opening day. We will be playing the Phillies in Philadelphia, a 4-game set. We'll have Gavin Stone, runner-up Cy Young contender last year, and then George Kirby, Tanner Bybee, and DL Hall in this set. They'll have Mick Abel, Aaron Nola, Jose Barrios, who looks like they traded for this offseason. Just kidding. He's been there. Are they still looking to trade him? No. They look to trade him this offseason. Then Louis Varland will be their 4-starter. Anyway, let's go. Mick Abel against Gavin Stone, opening day. The lineups are as follows. Pretty much what you expect. Arias is mixing in at third and second. Yelich playing a little bit of first, very little bit of first, and then a little bit of right field against righties. Not really playing at all against lefties. This is the lefty lineup. Everyone's pretty much locked in. Garrett Mitchell will take a seat. Luis Lara will come in and play center field. And there we go. That's it. So opening day, Mick Abel, Gavin Stone in Philadelphia. We win 2-0. We'll go through the scouting report after. Looks like Gavin Stone completely shuts them down. He's a guy I'm looking to seriously consider extending because his stuff went up this offseason too. If you noticed, he just looks like a total beast. And a guy that I want to keep around long term. He's only 29. I guess he has a ton of team control, so there's no real rush to do that. But a guy I love. So yeah, most of the offense coming only from Brock Wilken. Looks like he had a double. And then Daniel Guarte. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention him. He got hurt. Hip flexor strain. It was like a 1 to 2 week injury. I put him in the IL. Looks like he had a little setback. Now he's unknown to return. So that's why he didn't make the roster. Completely forgot about that. Macon Winslow, 6th round pick. Okay, a little bit of boost. Cody Schreier, a former top prospect or top draft pick back in 2024. He's finally gotten some development. That's good to see. Olin Johnson's still a guy I like enough. Chris Jordan's a nice relief prospect. Blake Ilitch, nothing too much there. These guys a little bit less interesting, although Nate Britton's still a dude. 4th-round pick in 26. Oh, Jim Gross. Okay, big improvements for him. He's a 13th-round pick that I really liked. College dude, getting a bit of a boost. Aiden Cleggett, another catching prospect that I liked. Bit of a mixed bag. Looks like his floor improved, his upside not so much. Jared Allen, he's looking okay. Maybe a career minor league type fill-in. Slade Caldwell, man, we're still waiting on him. 2 really, really horrible seasons in A-ball. I just pushed him up to high A to start the season. I mean, he's 21. Like, it's time to get the show on the road, man. And then Nate George, former 9th-round pick. Still like him for what he brings. And Rocky McKendry. Nice. Okay. So that's that. So game 2, Aaron Nola, George Kirby, a couple of control artists. And a 3-1 victory for us. So the pitching doing a great job. Bottom of the order getting things done. 6 hits. Everyone besides Churio had a hit too, but only scored 3 runs. But a great start by George Kirby. Puck and Diaz in the back end. Great job out of them. So game 3, Tanner Bybee, Jose Barrios, a couple more control-oriented pitchers. Bybee had a disappointing year last year. Walked 3 guys per 9. Hoping he can bounce back this season, be a little bit better in that regard. But a 7-3 victory in 11. Jefferson Kiro had an RBI in the top of the 11th. Garrett Mitchell, 3 hits. Pajes, 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Roderick Arias. Did he have a home run? He did in the 11th inning. Good for him, man. That's awesome to see. Tanner Bybee, an excellent start. AJ Puck, dominant out of the pen. And Cade Smith, nice job from him as well. So 3-0 to start the year. Looking for the 4-game sweep, a real rare occurrence in the MLB. It'll be Louis Varland against DL Hall, coming off a disappointing year. Let's see what he can do. We win 9-1, complete the 4-game sweep, start 4-0 for the first time this series, I would assume. Brock Wilken, a big day. Juan Soto had a nice game too. Drove in 3 walks. Isaac Pacheco had a good game. And DL Hall, a great start. And Edward Cabrera, dominant out of the pen. Did our bullpen give up a single run that series? They didn't. So 4 games set. I mean, we allowed just 5 runs through 4 games. That's about as good as you can draw it up. And the offense did some stuff too. So yeah, great start to the year here in 2028. And we'll come back and hopefully we're in good position. Keep rolling like we just opened the year. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.